Can the world's most powerful economy survive a diplomatic standoff when its energy security is being held hostage by its greatest rival? On Monday, President Donald Trump made the unprecedented move of requesting a 30-day delay for his highly anticipated summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping, citing the rapid escalation of the war with Iran. This delay is not merely a scheduling conflict. It is a high-stakes signal that the Epic Fury military operation has officially upended the American foreign policy agenda. We are going to uncover the hidden leverage China now holds over the Persian Gulf, why the White House is suddenly tethered to Washington, and how the flow of millions of barrels of oil is being used as a silent weapon in the battle for global hegemony. The stakes of this postponement reach into the very core of the global supply chain. If the United States fails to secure Chinese cooperation in unblocking the Strait of Hormuz, the world faces a permanent energy tax that could trigger a decade-long recession. A successful delay allows the Trump administration to consolidate its war effort and coordinate a unified maritime response. However, if this friction leads to a total breakdown in communication between Washington and Beijing, the Middle East crisis will merge with existing tensions over trade in Taiwan, creating a fractured global order where the two biggest economies operate in a state of permanent Cold War. The fundamental question is whether the United States can still project power in the East while its primary military focus is consumed by the West. The geopolitical context of this rift is rooted in a startling discrepancy in maritime traffic. While overall Middle Eastern oil exports have plummeted by more than 60% since the onset of the war, Iranian crude continues to transit the Strait of Hormuz at near normal rates. This anomaly is driven by the fact that the vast majority of Iran's exports are flowing directly to China, which imported an average of 12 million barrels of oil daily in the first 2 months of 2026. This makes Beijing the world's largest oil importer and effectively the primary financier of the Iranian state during this conflict. The historical power dynamic has shifted. Washington is now in the position of requesting assistance from a rival to police a waterway that was once an exclusive American domain. Key actors in this drama are operating with sharply conflicting motivations. Within the White House, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt have characterized the delay as a tactical necessity for the commander-in-chief to coordinate the war effort from the capital. Conversely, the Chinese Foreign Ministry maintains a posture of strategic ambiguity, emphasizing that while head of state diplomacy is irreplaceable, they have not yet committed to Trump's request for a coalition to secure the strait. The tension is further complicated by ongoing trade negotiations in Paris, where Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng has shown a sudden openness to purchasing American agricultural goods, such as poultry and beef, as well as discussing the flow of rare earth minerals. This suggests that Beijing is using the Iran war as a bargaining chip to extract concessions on long-standing trade and investment disagreements. Recent developments show that the Trump administration is attempting to use the summit as a carrot and stick mechanism. The president has indicated that the meeting might be postponed indefinitely if China does not take an active role in unblocking the critical energy corridor where 1/5 of the world's oil transits daily. Despite this, the bureaucratic machinery of both nations continues to move forward with preparations for the original March 31st date, highlighting a disconnect between the fiery rhetoric of the leaders and the pragmatic efforts of their trade representatives. The US Energy Department data confirms that as long as China remains the primary destination for Iranian oil, Tehran has little incentive to stop threatening the vessels of American allies, creating a circular security crisis that only Beijing has the immediate power to resolve. We must now analyze two critical what-if scenarios for the coming months. In the first scenario, China continues to rebuff the request for assistance while maintaining its oil imports from Iran. This would likely lead to a total collapse of the scheduled summit and a massive escalation of US sanctions against Chinese financial institutions, effectively decoupling the two economies. The geopolitical consequence would be a world divided into two distinct energy and trade blocs. In the second scenario, China agrees to a limited naval presence in the Hormuz in exchange for a total rollback of agricultural tariffs. This would stabilize the energy markets but would also signal the end of American unilateral control over the Persian Gulf, officially ushering in a multipolar era where Beijing acts as a co-guarantor of Middle Eastern security. The analysis of the global order suggests that the Epic Fury operation has inadvertently handed China a level of strategic leverage it has sought for decades. By tying his travel schedule to Chinese cooperation in the Middle East, the president has acknowledged that American military might alone cannot reopen the world's most important oil route. The shift in Middle Eastern exports, dropping 60% for everyone except Iran, demonstrates that the Revolutionary Guard is selectively targeting the global economy to favor its strategic partners. This selective blockade is a new form of warfare that the current international legal framework is not equipped to handle. This diplomatic standoff is a reflection on the changing nature of power in a globalized world. Stability is no longer a product of military dominance, but of the ability to manage complex dependencies. The request to delay the Beijing trip is a rare admission of the limits of presidential bandwidth and the gravity of the current conflict. As we watch the calendar turn toward May, the primary indicator of success will not be a trade deal, but the movement of tankers through the Hormuz that do not fly a Chinese flag. Viewers should watch for the outcome of the Treasury talks in Paris and any official response from the Chinese embassy, as these will determine whether the world's two biggest powers are heading toward a grand bargain or a final divorce.